All right, so I'm here with Bruce Potts, no stranger to many in the community, and I'm excited that you've made time out of your schedule to be with us today.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Bruce, tell me about your family.
I have twin boys that are 21, and John David and Joseph. Berkeley is 24, my daughter, and my wife is Karen. Berkeley and Karen are employed by Gordon County Schools. Berkeley is at Redbud Middle currently. Karen is at Redbud Elementary. The boys are sophomores in college, but they're also employed here in Gordon County. John David works at Chick-fil-A, and Joseph is, I think, an assistant coach is their title at Hibbett, and so they work right behind each other.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's true. They can carpool to work.
Yes, and I, of course, extended family. My parents are still here, Ronald and Lorraine Potts. Everybody knows my dad is Pee Wee. And then my in-laws are still here, Pat and Margaret Thornton. So, yeah, we're pretty close.
Wonderful. Yeah. That's great. So you're a lifetime educator. Why did you get into teaching?
Well, it goes back to, I can trace it back to my high school days. My junior year, we had, going into my junior year of high school, we had a change. And I'm a graduate of Calhoun way back in the dark ages. And but we had a group of coaches come in, and a couple of coaches in particular really poured themselves into us. One, they were very competitive. That rubbed off on us. We hadn't had much success at that point, but building a relationship and them giving of themselves sort of sent me to thinking about what did I want to do. And then for years, I had tons of respect for Billy Bearden. And if you're any way connected in Gordon County, Billy Bearden was recreation director for a couple of 100 years in this town, but very well respected. Worked with youth, had the respect of tons of people. The combination of those things led me to think about what I wanted to do. So I had a feel for recreation, I had a feel for education, and then David Ellis was one of those coaches. He's in Maryville, Tennessee now, and he's about to retire. But he got me interested in going to Carson-Newman College.
Okay.
And I played football. I had a skill set. You know, I could run into people violently, and so I had an opportunity to play football at Carson-Newman. And again, a circle of coaches, educators, Dr. Cronin, Ken Sparks was head football coach, Bill Mitchell was my position coach, Mike Ketchum was a position coach. And those guys started pouring in over a couple of years. And we had success in football, but it was more than that. It was about life. And through their counsel, their advice, it was solid, and it was pretty simple. There's only one recreation director in each town, but there's hundreds of educators that make an impact on a child's life every day. And so employability comes with that opportunity. It's hard to find, if you're a good recreation director, Billy Bearden, you're going to be there a while. And so natural progression was education, and by far has been the most rewarding thing I could ever do in the way of a professional career. I've got 30-plus years of memories, of highlights, of low points that make up that. But influence of men and women, I can go back. I'm a little bit of a weirdo when it comes to this. I can name teachers all the way back to kindergarten, and that made a difference. And I wanted to be that person. Once I really got deep into education, as an educator, I realized the impact we have. I didn't realize it till I was in it. It took me probably 2 years. Well, really my first advisement group. I started at Gordon Central in 1989, and I am the principal of that group's children now. And it's plus some. But that original group actually met with one at the tennis match night before last, and we were talking about things that happened in those early years. But the influence of others, and I truly believe God led me into that and put people in front of me to show me that path. With all my heart, I believe that, and
Right.
especially as I get older. But a faith-based influence out of countless men and women definitely put me where I'm at today. So
One of my colleagues that I work with here at the hospital, she says repeatedly that one of the highlights of her high school time was having you as her principal. How does that make you feel? She's not the only one that shares that sentiment. How does that make you feel?
just gave me a cold chill. Well, it meets the call that and the purpose and the mission of what I'm supposed to do with my life. I had a blip about 7 years into that work, and I walked away for about 2 months, and I was miserable. I had bad dreams. The circumstances around that so big, but I stepped back into the classroom because that was my calling. And but to hear former students come back and share, that's rewarding. But also too, it's rewarding for me. But it's also, I feel it's what I was called to do, and that is supposed to be the end result of what happens. The thousands you come into contact with, there's always going to be somebody,
Sure.
especially from the administrative side of near 18 years of doing this kind of work, that you're going to do something that somebody's not going to be happy about. But as long as you're firm and you're fair and you're consistent, those things work out. And in time, people gain a respect for you because at least you were firm, you're fair, and you're consistent. So to hear a comment like that from a former student is very rewarding, and I hope it speaks well that I at least had a little part. I wonder sometimes as an administrator, how much do we actually impact the day-to-day of a student's life? You know, really the teacher in the classroom, their boots on the ground. But I do understand from experience the influence of an administrator and how an administrator can affect a building, a staff, and a district. And in turn, I believe that does impact community. And so we've always said if we can produce a better student, a better graduate, we're going to help produce a better community.
Absolutely.
And, a better educated community makes for everything in the community that you want: safety, love, respect. All those things that you want. You don't want the bad stuff. So if we can influence, and basically that's what leadership is, it's influence, and impact people for the greater good, job well done.
Absolutely.
When we punch that ticket.
So talk for a minute about this generation of young people. Sometimes I hear negatives, sometimes I hear positives. What's your take?
I hear the same thing, and I can attest that I believe that our future is in good hands. This generation is just a little different. We read in the leadership we were talking about earlier with Elmore being involved with this generation, the IY generation. Some of them you hear millennial. They don't like that. They don't like to be called millennials because there's a connotation of a pigeonhole. But they're all different. They all bring a different strength to the table. And when you work, as an adult, you may come in contact with one or two. But when you see the masses of 1,076 right now, that's about where we're at Sonoraville, that walk the halls, you see the body of kids. And that 20% rule, 22, 25% rule, we're going to be in good shape in the future. So I tell a lot of them, especially those that are going into healthcare, you may have to take care of me one day. I want you to be your best.
So you talk a lot about leadership. How would you define servant leadership? What does it mean to be a servant leader?
Well, I share a lot about having a servant heart, willing to give, I don't want anybody in my building that I'm working in or assigned to. I want them to know no job is above me. If we need to mop a floor, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to go do that. If it's picking up trash across campus, just because I'm principal and I sit in a nice chair every now and then behind a desk that's nice, it's still from a servant heart aspect, willing to give of yourself unconditionally.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out and pick up trash and then boom, boom, boom.
Right.
I'm the man. Those are things that you do when people are not watching. It's just the right thing to do. So when I talk about servant heart mentality with our staff, it goes to a point of building relationships, a culture where you're willing to give and you're willing to serve, and willing to give is not above your pay grade just because you got another number out beside your name or a dollar mark beside your name. That's not what it's about. And it's a Maxwell quote, but I read a lot of John Maxwell and try to apply a lot of his leadership, because that's the servant heart mentality comes from a lot of his writings. But people don't care until they know how much you truly care.
Yeah.
And they'll see it in your actions. And so your actions speak threefold louder than your words. And I guess at the end of the day, I pray that I have done those things on a consistent daily basis, because on those days when you screw up and you stumble and you fall and you're willing to understand you did, that apology is going to be more likely to be accepted.
Absolutely.
And I have experienced those things. Trust me, I've been rude to people and I've taken a back step, but I think over the long haul they understand. Dude had a bad day.
Mm-hmm. Happens to all
He's
of
willing
us.
to apologize.
Yeah.
So servant heart, to wrap it up, our servant leadership is willing to do. Just willing to do what needs to be done to help people, to help the organization, in any mode, be successful and continue to move forward. You never want to be stagnant. So,
now I've been to Sonoraville and helped with soft skills workshops with the students and other sort of things. We partner together, the hospital and the high school, on a lot of different opportunities throughout the year. In a small community like ours, how important are those partnerships? Not just with the hospital, but throughout the entire community as a whole.
Well, I think the partnership with the hospital is vital for us on many fronts. You guys start with the visible aspect, because from a public relations standpoint, you do need to be seen. So the hospital is very supportive in that sense, but there's so much more that people do not know about or do not see. And y'all, as a hospital, you really don't care, because it goes back to that servant heart mentality. Mm-hmm. It's the right thing to do.
Yes.
When a Tracy Faraba shows up to work with our health occupations kids who are level 3, mm-hmm. and they're coming into the healthcare industry, or she shows up to work with work-based learning kids who are going to take the next steps and go into some kind of medical field. It might be, they're just typing information in, but It's very important. She comes to mind. We saw her when we were here earlier, but Tracy's very visible in all of our health fairs. You guys are there, and pouring resources into teachers, sharing ideas with teachers on how we need to take care of ourselves better. I probably need to get to walking again. But the community connection is vital for a school community to be successful. And what the hospital affords us in that connection is it's priceless. We get the whole package with you. We get the financial, And in return, we get the exposure out, best we can and as often as we can. But again, I go back to those unseen things with our health occupations kids. We even had a emergency responders pathway at one time. Had teachers teaching that and trying to help EMTs, develop EMTs. And 2008 hit in the budget, and some of those things had to go. But hopefully in the near future, those can come back. But visitations, our science classes, the advanced science classes, the chemistries, the biologies, the kinesiologies and anatomies are taking field trips to the hospital. Y'all are taking them through in the nuclear section, and the kids are just coming back wowed, and it opens up avenues for our kids that, honestly, I mean, some of them never get sick, and so they don't even, oh yeah, that's that place up on the hill, that nice place up on the hill, but I've never been there. I've never been sick. I've never had a family member sick. So when they do get to visit, their eyes are really open to what the future might hold for them. And so when I walk through the hallways, I see our graduates who are back at Gordon Hospital working. So
we love being involved with the school system. And, as somebody who's not clinical like myself, that's a very rewarding part of my job to be able to go out in the schools and follow Tracy around and help.
Well, and what you're doing here, we also offer video production. So we've had kids I know that have been here and helped produce videos, and I think y'all have collaborated at times. So Coach Huffstetler's done a real good job with that. But to bring them the latest ideas, the latest things that are going on, this process here is probably one that we can say, hey, that's something we can emulate. And look, get with our business partners and go, all right, how about this? And then we've got the link, and being able to connect is really good. So
what does it mean to the schools to have a community that's investing back into the schools?
The support, great example. Tracy's working with nurses. Okay, Tracy's coming in working with our level 3 kiddos. There's no money involved. Right. And we're not asking Tracy to bring us money. We're asking for her knowledge. Yeah. We're asking for her to come and influence. We're asking for her to come and be a difference in their lives. I'll use Butch Birch. He's a construction teacher, and he brings in various construction trades guys from stick framing to concrete. Yeah. And Butch was a builder at one time, but when the kids see a real person that's doing this, or if we have something going on campus and the brick masons are working, they're getting it going, our kids are going over and watching them and going, oh, I can do that. Yeah. And the real world, when it comes and they see it, hear it, touch it, it becomes relevant. And so the community connections with business partners, with anybody that's in a trade, is very important because it's going to catch that kid. There's a number of kids, they get it. Right. They know what they want to do. What I'm talking about is when you back it down and you've got a kid that's he's just right on the line, and it might be driver's ed. Yeah. It might be that evening class in driver's ed when Coach Pitts is in there teaching that thing, that kid, it clicks with him, and I could do something like that. Or he brings in a state patrolman, and the state patrolman is showing how the car works, and what do we look for when you're going 90 in the super speeder, and the kid looks and goes, I could be that guy. Yeah. So bringing a real world person from the business world and partnering, and we do community connections, and we try our best to broaden it out and bring. We got stuck for a while. It was just all law enforcement because everybody wants to. Did you shoot somebody? Have you shot somebody? Right. It's not what you want to ask them. Yeah. We want to ask about what goes on. But we've tried to branch out in the past years from hospital to law enforcement to electrical and trades. Randall Fox is one that comes to mind that's a champion of educators with Fox Systems. Yeah. I mean, just unbelievable. His grandson, Layson, graduated with us a few years ago. He's back working with the company. But he comes to mind as being a great business partner. He's over at the Career Academy consistently. He's on the Career Academy board, and so everything going over there from an industrial standpoint, he's sort of got an influence in. Well, when people look at him, and Randall's known me my whole life.
Yeah.
So I knew Randall when he was working with North Georgia EMC. And so to see he took ideas, concepts, and somebody shared with him a vision, and he starts a company. He's got one of the largest electrical contracting companies around. So when he walks in the room, that street cred just went out the roof.
Absolutely.
Because they know that's the man.
Yeah.
And so you get people like that buying into your school community. You're just exponentially influenced. And educators call them bubble kids. You know, it's the kid right on the bubble. She may or may not make it. We got to have something to get them through.
Connect them.
And that's the connection when you start talking about business partners connecting in. Look, the money's great. If somebody wants to make a financial contribution to a school, we're definitely going to take it and use it for good. But the value comes with a person's life experiences to influence a kid that's 15 to decide, I'm coming to school every day. I'm not going to lay out today. Or I'm running with a peer group, and I'm not going to do those things. I'm not going to get into street level drugs. I'm not going to consume alcohol on a consistent basis because I want to be like that person. So that's the value that comes with a community connection.
That's great. So you're making a change. You're young. 53, is that what you said?
I'm 53.
Why now?
Well, I've really outlined, I try to have that conversation with community folks, with stakeholders. I've met with governance, my school governance team. I've met with seniors as a group. I did sort of a podcast. It was a video a couple of days ago. Did an interview with a paper. I'm trying to shore up and share that, life is life, and you live it well. But at some point, you have to start thinking about self. You have to start thinking about family. And I've had an internal ambition for probably a year and a half to 2 years. And I've shared with Dr. Remlard openly about, I'd like to sit in the seat of a superintendency one day. And it's just the timing. And again, this is a business side of when you're in a professional position that people don't understand. But I've banked 84. Actually, if you want to be technical, it's 84.75 vacation days. I don't say that. I've taken plenty of vacations. When I share that with people, they go, well, you never took your family anywhere. No, we had time to take vacations. It would just be a sort of a staycation. We'd do a 4-day weekend or a 3 or 4 day week, and then come back, that kind of thing. So I've banked about 84.75. And we've had a conversation on how can I use those, because technically it's going to be hard to use those many days. Yeah. And so I thought we had a conversation in December. And so I spent Christmas really trying to soul search. I took the calendar out. I started looking at days. And I thought, am I going to search for a superintendency? Now's probably the time. I'll be 54 in April. Sitting in a superintendent seat, I would love to have 5 years. A lot of people in our profession at the end, they go, hey, do your last 2 years, get you a superintendency and get you the raise. And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that steps in for at least 5 years, makes a difference in a district, makes a difference in a philosophy, a direction, a culture. I really feel culture is so important. But, get in a situation to be able to influence a larger pool of people. And I'd like to do all that by 60, because, teenagers, they aren't cool with the 60-year-old, and a 53 soon to be 54 is I'm not high on their priority list.
I think you'll always be cool.
But well, I guess respect, is probably more important than the cool factor. But again, with teenagers, you're gonna have to have a little cool, or as they say sometimes, swag. But it's a good time. Our district is in a good place. Our particular building is in a good place. Dr. Remillard has moved on a shift to replace and ensure continuity with what's going on our campus, to rest at ease some folks. Because, you've been with a guy for almost 13 years. You sort of get used to his ways. When the big guy's not on today, you might not want to talk to him, kind of stuff, But timing for me is there. I am, and again, with sick days, we're able to bank sick days. And the Lord's blessed me. I've taken 7, I've applied for 7 sick days over 29.664 years.
That's incredible.
And so moving into my 30th year soon, those sick days are going to put me at near 31 years. So timing for me, while albeit is not good for kids in my building or staff in our building, for me personally and with family, it wasn't easy. It took a lot of time to think about. When the final decision had to be made, it was in my hands, and I just felt peace about it. I think through prayer and thought and discussion with my family. Now, my wife is not. If she watches this, she's gonna flip out. She's a warrior. She's not one that accepts change. She doesn't like change. But I'm a calculated risk taker. And so I think now's the time. And if through June 28, good Lord doesn't put me in a spot to be a superintendent, I'll take my retirement and I'll move and look at something in private sector to try to make it happen. So the timing for all of that is it's a good place right now for me personally. I guess regret. Regret is, if there is a regret, and there's not, is I've got a pool of kids and a fantastic staff that sometimes I have a pause and I go, I'm leaving some really good people. A good example, I had a group of freshmen stop me today, and it wasn't just me they were coming for, but they made their rounds. And they prayed with us this morning, just for a good school day, a good day of learning. A praise for Donna White, who has become a grandmother, and Pam Stewart, who has become a grandmother. And the kids know that. Why? We've got good relationships.
Yeah.
So I told you it'd be a time when you asked me that question.
That's all right.
But the timing is it is a place right now where I can look at a superintendency in that 6-year window and do 5, and I couldn't stop it from dripping, and make it happen, for us as a family. And again, if it happens, that's the Lord's will, and if it doesn't, I may be calling y'all. So hey,
give me a call.
I need some employment.
You've poured your heart into your students, your staff, your career. When you think about the word legacy, what do you want yours to be?
I guess overall respect, and then the 3 things that I shared earlier, that we were firm, that we were fair, and we were consistent. And I think from a people standpoint, if you do those three things with students, and you do those three things with the adults as the leader, and you're leading adults, and you're that way with the adults, the legacy part takes care of itself. And when you talk about positive influence, that goes back to the thing we talked about at the beginning of this podcast. It's going to make a difference in people's lives. So back to the original question, legacy, I just hope those things hold true during my time when I'm walking away from it.
My last question. Seniors love to walk across that stage at graduation and shake your hand. Are you going to be there for graduation?
I'm not sure. And I've had seniors in the senior meeting the other day. I had some come to me and ask. I'm not sure. That's something that with Miss Jenny Hayes, who's going to be taking over the 26th, and Dr. Remillard, we'll sit down if we want to have that conversation. If I'm in a superintendency or working in that mode, or if I'm there, probably will not be. Yeah. And I've had a lot of kids ask me, and I'm giving them the same answer I'm giving you. That's one of those unsure, I don't know kind of things, and sort of wait and see.
Well, so. I appreciate you coming, and I want to applaud you for your years of service to the whole Gordon County community in all the different school systems. You've influenced and touched a lot of people's lives, and we're very grateful for everything you've done.
Well, I appreciate it, and I've messaged lots of people that are texting me or doing a message, Facebook message, and one thing's true: no matter what happens with me in the future, I'm born and bred right here, and this will this will be where I'll either, I told them I'll get smoked. I'll be ashes, and they'll spread me somewhere. But I'll die here one day. But and I may have to move to be in that superintendency. But I went to 4 years. Well, 5. I went to 5 years of college, and I came back home. So Calhoun, Gordon County is home. I love this community. I am partial to my Phoenix community through the years. They've been so good to me. I may have to spread me on the front field out there at school one day. Anyway, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks again for stopping by.
All right, good deal.